Hey guys, welcome back to the page, and I want to take a look at continuing to work the body lines or the last of the body lines on this fender. I'm slowly working my way through this truck, guys, panel by panel. For anybody who knows, doing a full paint job by itself is a lot of work. Whenever you're doing a complete tear apart, every panel comes off, inside, outside, on a frame off build. It is a tremendous amount of work, specifically for one person to do. Right now, I'm still a one-man show. In the future, if things continue to progress, I will be growing and bringing in help. But right now, I'm still a one-man show, so, it takes a long time. And like I said, if you follow me for a while, I don't know if I say I've got a little bit of OCD, but I want things to be done a particular way. And for me, one of my mottos when it comes to doing body work is whenever you think you're done, go over it one more time or do it one more time. So thus, that leads to me, guide coding between everything, guide coding body filler, guide coding every round of sanding, 320, 400, 500, even, using a black sealer like a guide coat is another one of those things that I continuously do to check myself at every step, because I've made the mistake of looking at something too long, wanting to be done with it, and then putting a base on or a clear and realizing like, dang, I missed that spot. Well, now it's a much more costly mistake to go back and fix it when you're done. And at the cost of paints right now and materials right now, I don't want to waste that money. So for me, the little bit of extra time it takes to go back and rework a panel and do it multiple times is an extra security, but it also is a money saver. And with that, I want to talk. I had a follower on my Instagram page, side street _ customs, if you've never been there before. And he was asking me a question about, I was using a aerosol primer, and he's like, well, how do you know when it's dry? He was explaining that he uses the products all the time, but, he tries to test the fingernail, but they never seem to dry for him. And I was telling him I typically don't run into that problem because although I do follow the guidelines of technical data sheets when it comes to mixing and spraying, I typically venture on the side of going far beyond the times of curing, drying, buffing, etc. before doing the next stage. Most of those recommendations are the bare minimum recommendations for body shops, for quick flips, for, make the money, get them in, get them out. Well, on the restoration side of things, the longer the better that I can let a body filler cure out. Sometimes I'll put a heat lamp on one. If I spray a high bell primer, I'm going to wait sometimes 3 days, a week, even longer, put it out in the sun and let it cook before I actually come back and start working it, so I can have any shrinkage. I can get all the solvents out of it, know that thing's completely closed up before I start working it. Because a lot of these things, they may be dry on the top, but they're not dry on the bottom. And when you keep adding chemical compounds to them, you will have issues later that you thought it was good. And for the amount of money that people are spending when you're doing custom work or this type of a work, you don't want to send a product out and then, a few months later it's shrinking, peeling back, or it's getting crow's feet or something's happening. So, like I said, I take my time. A lot of people say, body filler, you can sand it in 15 minutes, you can sand it in 20 minutes. I'm not. Or, this primer, in 30 minutes is ready to block and sand. I'm not doing it that way. I'm going to wait till at least another day. At minimum, I'm going to wait at least 24 more hours. Same thing, people with clear coat. I'll let a car sit for 6 months before I actually come back and wet sand and cut and buff that car. I want to let everything out. There's products that say, you can wet sand it and buff it in 3 hours. Man, that thing's still smelling like paints and solvents weeks after you've done it. So it's not completely, everything's not evaporated out and cured out. So I'm going to give it more time. But to kind of switch the subject, as I've cleaned up these lines on this truck and I've worked, probably I don't know, 3, 4, 5, 6 working it, recreating these lines. One of the last things I will do on every one is I'll go back over everything with another hit of 500, scuff everything down. My next step with this fender will be wash it down really, really well with a solvent, wax and grease remover solvent cleaner. Spray it down, soak it, let it drip off. I mean, I literally overspray these things, guys. I saturate them until it's running off, and I let that do it for a couple of minutes. Even with those solvent cleaners, I don't try to just take them off immediately. I let them pull dirt and stuff off. Then, wipe them down, tack it, and I will spray this in a sealer. Maybe this weekend, I have the other one to do as well. That extra check, and then I will move this to the side, and I'm on to cab next, finishing prepping the inside, flipping it over, getting it ready to bed liner the bottom of it, and tidy up a couple little things right behind the motor after I pull it off so that I can get a really good paint job on the firewall. And we are getting really, really close. The bed's coming along nicely. Everything's shaved, everything's filled. All the major stuff is body work, so I'm still rescuffing it so I can apply a high build primer to that. So going to get the bed cleaned up. It's been a lot of work done on that, but we are really close to this thing. We're within the last 30 days or so of having this thing sprayed and done, guys, so stay tuned.